I'm pretty sure you've been in situations where at this moment when you have an interaction with somebody, you really put your guard up and you say, well, I'm not gonna go there with that person. It may be in friendships and business and romantic endeavors, whatever it is, but you have decided in that moment, okay, I'm putting my guard up. This is where I stay. Hi guys, this is Wenzes. Thank you for tuning in. Today I want to talk to you about regret and how regret is keeping us from actually doing all those things we wanted to, but not in a specific way how we always hear it from the media. You know that everybody that talks about regret always comes back to this place. You don't want to regret things. Regretting things is the last thing you want to do when you're on your deathbed and so on. It's always this thing that regret is a word that you don't want to feel, and what everybody's telling us that we should actually go for things and rather regret what we have done than what we have not done. But I have a different approach to this, and I want to talk to you a little bit about it, because what I have done over my entire life, pretty much always kind of like been aware of it, was that I got into situations with people, like this is about really regret when it comes to relationships, where I was with my family, my close friends, business partners, or just like romantic situations where I just didn't go any further. And when I say I didn't go any further, meaning I didn't trust that person to be my friend at that moment, I didn't trust that person to do business with, I just didn't like put my guards down, or I just kind of didn't really take the situation as well as it could have gotten. And why I actually think about it is because afterwards I kind of like build this whole thing up. Like I've had situations where I just sit afterwards on my couch, you know, in the shower, whatever it is, and I always keep on thinking, why did I do that? Everything would have been so great if I just seized the moment and done what my friends have done. Like in so many situations, I feel so many of my friends have just gone, like taken the risk and done something. I was the one who was regretting everything afterwards. But now I realize that everything that I regretted is because my imagination afterwards made it better than it was. Like when I think about like now, like I had those situations when I was 20 and I met somebody, or I had like really a new friendship circle that I was in, and I kind of like blocked off, like those people wanted something from me and I said, I'm not having that. This does not feel right for me right now. I enjoy the situation as it is, but I don't trust you enough to really like keep going with this and trust you more and open up and so on. Everybody would tell you from an objective point why. You should have been open. Things are so like just taking a chance and realized everything that you wanted to if you just weren't that scared. But what I think right now is that I was actually listening to my intuition, because afterwards everything that I imagined was in my head. Like I was there in that moment. I was there when I decided, well, that person is not trustworthy enough for me to really open up more, or that we can have like this great friendship or whatever it is. I was there in that moment and I made that decision in that specific situation. So why afterwards thinking about like, oh, this was actually so great, why didn't I seize the moment? Well, the thing is, it's great because you imagine it to be great. You know, people like you and I, we tend to really think of the best outcomes, to have a positive mindset, and to actually have a huge imagination. And when there are situations that have the potential to be something really extraordinary, we think of them in that way and we remember them in that way, because you create the kind of memory you want to have about a situation. So I can remember something and just think, well, it wasn't anything specific. Apparently it didn't interest me enough for me to like keep on going in that direction. So I backed out. And this is not what a normal tendency of me is. And I think this is for a lot of us. We think of something and then we say, oh, I should have done this. I would have been open for new things and so on. But you have to trust your intuition. My intuition told me in that specific moment, this is not what you want to do. And I have learned to trust that intuition. And the best thing about it is that now when I imagine something that happened, I remember it very vividly and beautifully, but I know this is like this amazing memory was created in my mind. You know, it's not like exactly what happened, and it's not exactly what I felt at that moment. It's how I created it afterwards. And once I really got that, a lot of things got easier. Because when we normally talk about regrets, it's about like, you know, I don't ever want to regret anything. Therefore, I'm just gonna seize more opportunities. Therefore, I'm gonna, even when I have this feeling of me of this is not right, I'm gonna take a chance, because it's better to regret something I've done that I haven't done. Well, maybe not. You know, maybe not. Because like those things make sense when there's something like, well, I'm scared of failure and that's why I'm not trying. Yes, in situations like this, it's okay to, you know, to really think about it and say, well, I'm just gonna take a leap and I'm gonna learn what I have to learn once I'm there and once I have to do it. But when it comes to people, we also have to trust our inner voice and our intuition. And at that moment, the specific version of yourself that lived in that specific moment didn't want this. That's why you did it. It does not matter if it's because you haven't grown that much. Like when I look back, you know, I can do things now I couldn't do when I was 25 because I have like the knowledge that, you know, or just life experience in a way that helped me to do some things. And in 10 years from now, I'll be able to react in situations completely different than I do today. But today I have to trust my intuition when my intuition tells me, well, this is not the moment to really, you know, open yourself up, to really go and take a risk with something, because my inner being at that moment tells me, I don't feel like it. I don't. Like, you know, we are meant to really protect ourselves from bad things happening. And sometimes we have to really be aware that that's also a good thing. When you're alone and you think about your future and what you can do, yes, you can trust yourself. You can trust yourself and really take risks and know that everything's going to be okay. But, you know, letting go of regret in a way of, well, I'm just not going to be mad at myself at what I did at that moment, what I decided at that moment, because that's exactly what I wanted to do in that moment. And this had changed a lot of things for me, because then my brain is free to think about new opportunities, because that person at that moment, that was me, decided to take that step. And there was a reason why I created that, why I decided to go that direction. And once I've really like learned to be okay with it, I can just like concentrate on new things. And that's a whole different like aspect and strategy when it comes to getting rid of regret. Being okay with decisions you have taken. You know, that's also a way of letting go of regret. You don't have to always tell yourself, well, why didn't I decide this way? Why didn't I decide that way? I would have done this, this, and this. Yeah, maybe if you're today in the same situation, but that's not you who was there at that point. And the more I trust myself, the more I really realize that I had my good reasons for that in that moment. And I understand the difference between this is my imagination, this is how I remember it from today's perspective, and all the nuances I, you know, added to this. Like sometimes just because something is exciting and full of adrenaline doesn't mean that it was as exciting as it was really in that moment. It's like what you create afterwards. Because trust me, all those things that were exciting in that moment, you actually went for them. We just don't remember them. We don't remember them because they were in a flow. There was no abruption. There was nothing where you had to say, okay, till here and no further. I'm just gonna go another direction. Everywhere where you just like kept on going, it's so natural, it's so perfect that there's no memory of why didn't I do this? Like your intuition will tell you what is right if you listen to it. And think about all those things that today you think, oh, I should have done differently and so on. Maybe you should really ask yourself, and this is what I have done and it's helped me a lot, to say, well, I trust my person. I trust my intuition that told me at that one moment, this is not what I wanted to do. So that's why I didn't do it. That's why I didn't like take the job. This is why I didn't like go further in that friendship and call that person up and ask them for coffee, or this is why XYZ. You know, you decide in that moment because this is what felt right. And the more we trust that feeling, the more we are willing to let go, because we know we're our own best friend and we'll take care of, you know, ourselves. So this is okay. This is how it used to be. And if today you get into a similar situation, you can decide new for yourself. But in that moment, in that situation, the pressure that you were put on, you decided what was right for you. Because sometimes, just like as a last thing, sometimes you have people who put like a certain pressure on you. and when they like, just because they want your energy, and it's subconsciously, but they're around you and they put their pressure on you, and you decide, okay, I need my space, like I cannot have people invading me like this. And then that person learns, well, okay, she always puts her guards up, so I'm not, you know, I'm not supposed to like really, you know, try to take that person's energy. This, of course, everything, you know, subconsciously. And so those people kind of like back off, don't show more interest in you, because this is their way of operating, putting pressure on people and taking things out of you. So then afterwards you say, well, that person doesn't put any pressure on me. Why didn't I, you know, engage with that person before when I had the chance and that person had interest in me? Remember why you did that in that specific moment. You were put under pressure in that moment. That's how that person operates. If that person wants to have a relationship with you, then, you know, they have to obey some kind of rules. And the one rule that is valid for me, most important for me, and I think for a lot of people, is that you have giving relationship from both sides. And when people are not trying to take your energy, your positivity, or whatever it is by, you know, by just putting pressure on you. This is what has to happen. And you will see all those relationships with friends, with family, with romantic, whatever it is, the things that work out, it's always coming from a place of not neediness, of everything being great as it is, and you just come together. And so afterwards, we always imagine it, well, this is so great, and that person isn't putting any pressure on me. Yeah, because they're staying away. Because for that person at that moment, the only rule is, if I'm going to engage in a closer relationship with you, then I need to be in control. And I cannot be in control unless I put some control over you. Trust your intuition. That's what your intuition told you at that moment when you said, stop, we're ending this here. So it was all good. So that person is not hurting you right now because you put your guard up, because you didn't, you know, you didn't go further with that. But that doesn't mean that you can have this close relationship with that person, because for that person right now, the rules, you know, would be, as I said, to put pressure on you. And once you learn, like once people change over time and they see that everything's going to be fine without them having to put pressure on you, then great relationships can happen. Like I remember with my best friend, when we met, she had a lot of those control issues, and you know, we had a lot of fights and miscommunication things. But with time, it's not like that. There's a freedom in it. And so I don't regret what happened. I know this is how it's supposed to be. And the more you trust yourself, the more you can let go and make room for new things. So please remember that when it comes to regret, it's not always about, I should have done this. I never want to feel like I should have done this. Why didn't I do this? It was okay. At that moment, this is what you wanted. This is the thing you decided to do to the best of your abilities and how you felt at that moment. And it's all good. New situations will arise, new people will come into your life, and you have every time you want to follow your dreams in that direction without having to have like all those thoughts of, oh, this should have been like this or this should have been like that. It was exactly how it's supposed to be. Everything else can just create naturally. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know if you've had similar situations, and maybe like if you've actually thought about this and this has made a difference in your life, that you just decide, okay, well, this is what I decided. So let me know in the comments. Yeah, I'm very thankful for all your subscriptions and for all the likes. And thank you so much for watching. Remember, all videos can also be listened to on SoundCloud as audios. And talk to you next time. Bye.